Stop trying to make yourself heavy.
I'm not trying to.
Let me
I'm
work.
trying to just be dead weight. This is only 155 pounds. Maybe a little few. Come on. Yes, guys, this is how you can improve your weight.
I thought you were gonna help me bench press since the gyms are closed.
What do you mean? I did. So, see, you can't lift 155 pounds.
I can. I just did.
You were struggling.
But I did.
Barely.
But I did.
What happened to 10 reps? What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 80. Who'd have thunk it? Guys, I'm hoping we shut it down soon. I hope we stop. I hope we stop well before 100. So today, guys, start asking questions. Today, what I thought we'd focus on is double arm lock or dual arm lock. Meaning that either you can, it's more, there are times when you can lock both arms at the same time, or you can pick one or the other depending how he's turned, but both, generally speaking, both arms are at risk. Both of your opponent's arms are at risk. So today we'll do one from the guard, two from the guard, and one from the mount. So start asking other questions, guys. And if you have any questions on this, let's get to it. So, guys, when you have somebody in your guard, especially if the guy's hands are on your torso, this is a good time to do this, all right? I want his hands off my torso, but sometimes that's not going to happen. You know, you could spend a whole day trying to fight, for this, and it's just not happening. But the good news is, a lot of times when the guys are worried a little bit about the urigatami, they start to keep their elbows really narrow. So I will try to fight for an arm drag. I will try to fight for urigatami. But as soon as I see that his arms start to drift really, really narrow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to control. You can do this. I've done this no-gi as well, guys. What I need to do is make sure I control his elbows. All right? So if it was no-gi, I would just probably put my hands over his wrists. With the gi, I would take the... and notice how I'm lifting my hips. If I don't lift my hips, if my hips stay down and I bring my legs over, he's going to get a double under. But by lifting my hips, I'm getting under his elbows so he cannot retract his elbows that easily. I pull, and I just bring my feet over his head, guys. This is one of the times that it's good to cross your ankles. Guys, squeeze your knees together, and
Tap.
left, right, left, right. Your choice, guys. This is double. You literally are hyperextending both. Guys, very important for you to put tension in his arms just by squeezing your legs. Now this is easy.
Tap.
All right? So again, how do we set the guy up? I'm trying to get my grips that I normally would. All right? But he's really disciplined, maybe too disciplined, to bring his elbows in. All right? So as he's bringing his elbows in, I'll get my grips. All right? If, like I said, if this was no-gi, I would just, when I'm ready, I would just put my forearm across his wrists. Now, usually I will lift up my hips, and as I'm bringing him over, my legs come over his shoulders and lock up.
Tap.
Guys, make sure you set this up properly. You would never, if his elbows are flared out, you would never do this, because if you do this, you're going to get your guard pass. You're basically giving him double under. So you have to have a high degree of confidence that you're controlling both elbows. And again, I've done this in no-gi as well. I'm trying to swim. He keeps swimming. I attack an arm drag. He keeps, and here we go. So guys, initially I place my feet and then I cross them and bring my knees together, and this is done. Guys, when you get here, try not to do this real fast. This is now, you have plenty of time.
Tap.
Make sure you give your training partner a chance to tap. Because if you do this right, his arms, there's very, very little flex in his arms. So you can't do it real fast. Once you lock him, so this is the battle, but once you get here, there is no battle. He's done. So make sure you give him time to tap. Sometimes people will tap here because everything is being squished together with your legs.
GM Baseball says, I got caught in that double armbar once. Once. And then lots of peers asking, don't you need his arms to be straight when you lift your legs up?
No, I need to control his elbows. I don't need his arms straight. I can do it even. It's going to be a little bit of sort of prying his arms open, but as long as I control his elbows, I can do that. So as long as the elbows are narrow, bend your arms. His arms are bent, fully bent. Why don't you look in the camera so they can see how miserable you look when this is happening? Guys, this is pure misery. Look at his face. So his arms don't have to be straight. I just need to control his elbows. So again, I'm controlling his elbows. I'm going to even let him. So once I'm here, look into the camera.
Tap, 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 tap.
So, yes, his elbows can be bent. You will straighten them out for him.
Matthias is asking, hi, Coach. One thing I noticed is that you don't use a lot of wrist locks. Is it because you want to be nice to Enrique, or you just don't like to use them that much?
I don't like to use them too much. You know, it's... some people consider it a bit of a cheap technique. I don't necessarily think it's cheap, but what I will use is wrist locks more to have them straighten out the arm. So if they're defending the arm lock, usually the response to a wrist lock threat is to straighten out the arm. I sometimes get disappointed if he doesn't straighten out his arms and just taps on the wrist lock. So I usually try to put the wrist lock slowly because some people have differing. First of all, wrist is probably it's the weakest joint in the arm. So if if the guy doesn't have a lot of flexibility, do it fast. Usually they scream and you tweak his wrist. The good news is usually if you tweak somebody's wrist, they can still train. But it's Mike on one arm. I'm not gonna tell you which arm. He can literally put his hand against the inside of his forearm. Like literally you can go all the way, I don't know, what is that? 360 degrees. On the other side, not so much. But there's guys like me personally, like I would tap here. This is where I'm starting to feel it. So that's a really big range. You see this range of where people tap. And arm lock, it's, most people will tap here. There's some real flexible, you're talking another maybe 10 degrees. Some like the juice heads, they will tap here. So basically, the range of everybody tapping is within 20 degrees. On wrist locks, depends on the flexibility of the person. You literally have 90 degrees. So it's a big range. And if you do it too hard and fast, you can hurt your training partners. So I generally tend to use them more as a threat and have them straighten out the arms so they subject themselves to the arm lock, arm bar, basically the elbow hyperextension threat.
Adolfo Ferranda is asking, Fox, how do you preserve the family jewels when applying that double armbar?
I try not to have his elbows on my family jewels. It's by squeezing you're not trying to break his arms over your family jewels. You're trying to squeeze your knees together to the point where it's almost the fulcrum is your inner thigh as opposed to the proverbial family jewels.
And Masij is asking, Coach, I find it extremely difficult to keep skilled people in my close guard as they get bicep control and stand up easily to break my guard, leaving me with no time to set up and attack. Any tips?
Get your grips first. Get your grips and go. So, stand up and go. Too late now. Now I'm reacting to him. Okay? Go back. Yeah, stand up and go. Left, right, left.
Tap. Tap.
They know with the bicep control.
It doesn't matter. I just need to. Oh, come on. Get your bicep control. So first, yeah, you have to move. I have to move. Okay? Anytime you just can't let them establish that level of control. So if they do, I can't move. Go back. So anytime anybody gets bicep control, up, down, I move. You have to move. You cannot let them use that. So basically, don't forget, it's a form of, yeah, this will happen. Anytime somebody puts their hands on your biceps, they're using twofold. They're immobilizing you, not fully. So you have to understand they're not immobilizing you fully. Second thing is they're using your biceps as a form of support. So if you remove that form of support from him, that will collapse his structure of standing up. You have to do that before he stands up and postures up. So as soon as the biceps go, you have to move your arms. You have to flap your arms up and down, it doesn't matter. Try to swing. Most importantly, you need to remove that structural support from him to stand up. And you have a split second to do that. So the more hard one is when the guy puts his, this is the harder one. Because right now, I can't, I have to move. But he stood up much better, and it's much harder to strip the ones that are under your armpits. Much, much harder. So as soon as I feel somebody putting, what I'll do is, I might go up to see if they regrip. If they don't regrip, I go back down, and now I will try to get some grips. If the guy, this kind of hurts, guys. It's almost like a wrist lock, and I need to move to get my grips. You can't let them control you and just kind of wait for them. Because if you wait for them, the next step, he's going to stand up, and now he's going to be passing your guard. Right? You have to start moving. The sooner you start moving, the better it is for you. Because if you let him get the grips, he's a half a step to a step ahead of you. He stands up, now he's 2 steps ahead of you. So you have to interrupt him getting too far ahead of you, because then it's going to be hard to catch up. So if he gets the good grips, guys, you got to neutralize them right away. You have to try to remove that source of balance for him. Interestingly enough, that source of balance is your torso, it's your body. Remove it, move it, make him wobble. Anytime somebody wobbles, guys, it gives you a chance to either remove his grips or get your own. So make them stumble. All right? So again, if somebody puts their hands in my armpits, it's not easy, because guys, when they go, it's so you have to right away make that uncomfortable. All right? So when he stands up, puts his hands. So I try to move up, and then I try to move down. And I'm actively pulling him forward. Now I'm going to move. Now it's going to get, okay. This is going to get ugly for Enrique. It just did. All right? So, when somebody puts their hands on your biceps or on your armpits, move. Generally speaking, if you pivot sideways, sometimes it's not easy, but you have to. You have to move your arms. Again, this is your biggest problem is he's pinning you and he's using that as a source of support for himself. When you move your arms up and down, it just kind of makes him adjust. And that's your chance. If you go perpendicular as he sort of wobbled a little bit, suddenly that whole structure collapses. Now things become much more interesting. Now you can establish your own grips before he establishes his. Does that make sense?
Clean Crank BJJ saying 40 hours now of Karel teaching us private lessons. Mucho appreciated. Also, what's your favorite way to escape that double armbar scenario?
Tap. Because if it's on, you don't have a lot of time. Yeah, it's if he doesn't have it well, then I'd go double under. But if he has it well, it's done. I drive forward. I try to drive forward. I might be able to escape. If my arm breaks, guys, it's your fault.
And
so it hurt. And he wasn't going full bore. So the point is, what I tried to do is pinch his hips with my inner thighs to prevent him from arching into it and driving into him to try to keep him folded long enough for me to pull my elbows back far enough to escape. But if it's on, if you hear, guys, just tap, because it's not like, with a choke where you have, a few seconds or, 12 seconds to tap. It's like, people usually, it's one of those other verbal taps.
And Hollywood is asking, I believe I've seen Enrique controlling the arms, thumbs up and thumbs down on the biceps. Is one better than the other?
Thumbs up, I was on the armpit.
So armpit is this, biceps is like this. So I understand it's two different things. All right? One is like this. He places them on the biceps closer to the elbow, whereas this way it goes under the armpit. Okay? Any other questions? Or we can move on. All right, let's move on before one of us breaks. My money's on Enrique.
Because you're gonna break me. I'm not gonna break myself.
I know. That's what I was saying.
Let's switch Spanish.
I'm hoping we only have another 7 to 10 times of doing this, guys. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love doing this for you. I'm privileged to be doing this, but I'm itching to get back on the mats with my students. All right, so, guys, another dual or double arm lock is when I drag and I don't quite get him far enough or exposed enough to threaten his back. What I'll do right away is, usually if you get dragged, arm dragged, the response is to square up. If he doesn't, I'm taking his back. That's it. He's done. Okay? So he has so interesting enough, this could be a fairly lazy, he has to square up. When he does that, guys, I bring his torso forward. Right? And I bring my arm, my right arm, over his right arm. Now, guys, he's done. This is one of the ugliest arm locks you'll ever see. Tap. But I also can attack this one. Usually the guys will try to hold on to your torso so you can't arch. To your head so you cannot arch. That's not going to help him. Guys, ideally I want the bottom. Tap. I want the bottom arm. That's still way stronger break than the top one. But we also have the top arm. All right, so again, I drag, but I was too lazy. So I did not get his back. He squared up to me. A lot of times he either puts his forearm on on your neck. A lot of times, once you start to threaten the arm, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, it's okay. You can try to choke me from my guard. Guys, look at this, how ugly this is. Does this look like an arm lock to you?
Tap.
If he escapes his head, even better.
Tap.
Now this arm, now I can attack.
Tap.
A lot of times, once he realizes he's under a threat of an arm lock,
Tap.
and just like that, we have, is it double arm lock or dual arm lock?
Double armbar.
Guys, interestingly enough, in both instances we just went over, you might have both arms or either arm. Sometimes the way, especially the guy on the first one, when the guy realizes what he's caught into, he's trying to get both shoulders in, but manages to get one in. So if he gets one in, that arm lock is going to be only applicable to one arm. But initially, you have the possibility of attacking either or both at the same time. In this case, it's not both at the same time, it's either or. I'm more concerned about the bottom one. It's sort of like the equivalent of an inverted heel hook. I don't try to submit the top arm, but I can.
Masih says, How to Break Enrique 1,000 Ways by Karel Silver Fox Pravec.
So maybe we change the name of the antivirus edition to 1,001 Ways to Break Enrique.
And JP Leduc is asking, how did you hold Enrique's lower arm?
Sorry, you're going to have to rephrase that question because I actually started to do the math. We're on episode 80, right? So roughly, if I submitted Enrique roughly 12 times in every episode, which is probably, it's very feasible. It might be more than that. We're at least 1,000 into it already. Yeah, all right. So can you read the question again? I'm sorry. Because once numbers start to fly around, I'm like, okay, I'm chasing the numbers, not the words.
JP Leduc is asking, how did you hold Enrique's lower arm?
Oh, it's very simple. I just put my arm over it. You cannot retract. It's very difficult. Again, guys, it's sort of like, I think one of the first episodes, I posted something. There was a piece of wood. If I can find it. Guys, it was one of the earliest episodes. I went in the woods, and I'm trying to demonstrate how you can break a tree by yourself by wedging it between two trees and pushing into it. All right? If I can find it, that's sort of the breaking mechanics. I've done it when I was camping, when I was a kid. You know, like ooh, this is a nice piece of wood. It'd be great on the fire, but how am I going to break it? Because usually, so if you wedge it between two trees, like this, and you just push. Just be careful, because if it snaps, you might fly. Depends how big it is. It's happened to me.
I was going to say, it sounds like you flew.
So, let's look at it from this angle. So, I'm dragging his arm, and I pull him forward. Stop. Did you guys see this? How would you react here? And this is how I'm going to react. Yeah, baby. And that's my bad side. You guys know why I'm doing the bad side? So I get more reps. So I get better on that side. My game is not symmetrical, but I try to make it good on both sides. So let's do it one more time. I'm getting one more rep, and you guys get one more peek at this. Yes. What are you tapping on?
Your armbar.
Where's the fulcrum?
Your hip.
Guys, that's a question to you.
Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap,
Tap.
What episode was that, guys? Adolfo probably knows. All right. Guys, look how ugly this is. If you showed somebody this is an arm lock, most people won't believe you.
Ryan D'Souza is asking, right now you have a gi grip. In no gi, would you use head control to stop Enrique from posturing up?
Yes. Let's do no. It's the same thing. My grips on the arm drag are going to be slightly different, but it's the same thing. So I'm going to do my back side again. Could you push my leg before I break your arm?
Oh, God.
So guys, you got to be able to put yourself in a position where you can hold that grip for a little while, for a few seconds. And the reason is, again, sometimes when you and I train, I get something, a submission where I could just arch into it real fast and be done with it. But I also want to know, like, can you do this? Can you do that to me? Because then I can figure out how I would respond to his reaction. But in this case, you couldn't do nothing. Except for tap.
Matthias is asking, I have more of a question on managing development. I have been training for 4 years now.
Okay.
And haven't done a lot of leg locks. Do you think knee bars, heel hooks should be done after purple belt or as soon as possible?
Probably after. I think, what people want, guys, people think leg locks are magic. They're not. They require a lot of work. They require a lot of, but think about it this way. So I personally believe that jiu-jitsu, number one, is a martial art. And as such, it's a very solid form of self-defense. If you spend your most fundamental years, which is usually the first 2 years of jiu-jitsu, focusing on leg locks, you're very comfortable being on the bottom. And especially in those years, if you don't have an understanding how to escape bad situations or how to take advantage of those bad situations to improve them and eventually be able to defend yourself, usually people that focus on leg locks, they don't focus so much on takedowns. They don't focus on escapes from bottom cross side. They focus on escape from mountain bike kipping. Guys, your kipping is going to go out the window if you get elbowed in the head. So I would recommend, guys, it's not that you should avoid them like plague till you purple belt, but initially, to me, leg locks are more sophisticated game, as sort of when you better understand, controlling the limbs and how do you break and so forth. I think if you focus on it early on before people have that understanding, that results a lot more injuries within the academy, as well as lack of understanding of sort of how to get out of some of the fundamental positions. So it's sort of like you having a kind of stick house with a beautiful tile roof. You know what I'm saying? So I would start sort of, make first, if you want to have a cellar, make a foundation. If you don't have a cellar, make a nice concrete slab and start to build over time. That doesn't mean that you should not practice leg locks, but you should focus on leg control. People, especially if they don't have a deep understanding of something, when they see something that can result in a quick submission, they take it. They take it with recklessness sometimes. It affects, like I said, injuries. It affects how the school is perceived. I think, like I said, I have 100% confidence in somebody like Ryan Hall to be able to drop into an M&R roll and beat the piss out of the guy that in an altercation. But Ryan Hall was already doing heels. He was winning tournaments, 10, 12, 15 years ago. But when he got into an altercation, he understands the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu. He took the guy, there's a video, like it's old, it's at least 10 years old. It was a restaurant, and he took the guy, double-legged the guy down and controlled him from the top. So as long as you can pick up that kind of fundamental understanding, then it's good.
Shaka Zulu is asking, how do you deal with old beginners' technique to open the guard, aka digging the elbows in the thighs? I like the wrist lock, but I guess that's not your choice.
To open somebody's guard?
How do you deal with when someone does that to you? Digs the elbows in your thighs.
Oh, okay. Guys, yeah, very simple. If you're using pain, pain is a very good sort of force to make the guy comply with where you're guiding them. For me, pain is also like when I feel pain, guys, I'm going to another dimension. Depends how much pain I feel. So let's hope I don't go too far into that dimension. Does it hurt? Absolutely, guys. I have gone to another dimension. So you could see that. Is it painful? Yes. Is it painful enough for me to move? No. I will move when I'm ready. Not because he's digging his elbow into my thigh. I still feel it. I might have a bruise tomorrow. But if this were a real fight, I might have a bruise tomorrow. He's going to have a broken arm. I'll take that trade any day. So the point is, a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, like my long-time training partner, Doug Pelinkovich. Doug, what he does, he's a great black belt. The guy's probably, 220, 100 kilo, but really good black belt. Very, very good technique. And years ago, he's in my guard and he puts his shin on my shin and grabs my toe. I tapped. Once. After that, he tries to do this to me all the time because he trains with Doug too. After that, it's like anytime I feel that somebody, I go into like turbo mode. I'm moving, guys. I know there will be pain. So there's certain pain that just doesn't go away, and there's pain that you can make go away. So I can make this pain go away. I only sucked it up for your amusement, and for you to see that I can suck up enough pain that I will not move until I'm ready to move. So does that make sense? Does that answer your question, or would you like to see me in some more pain?
3 more things before we close out. GM Baseball is asking, how much strength are you using on your techniques? It looks effortless on this end.
I try to use zero strength. Clearly, that is not realistic. If I could sneeze and make Enrique tap, I would do it. To me, that would be the highest level of jiu-jitsu. I don't think I'll ever achieve that, but I try to use, literally, when I train, I try to use 100% technique, zero strength. That is unrealistic, and, when he and I go, we call it postal. Some of you guys know what that refers to. So when we go postal, at the end, we use a lot of strength, we use a lot of technique, because you know, he can neutralize almost anything I throw at him. So it's just like a high pace. I'd rather have higher speed than higher strength, if that makes sense for me. But I'm at a different stage of development than you guys are. But I try to rely less on strength, because the more you rely on strength, the less you rely on technique. So I always try to make technique number one. I try to, if I have big, strong, athletic guys coming to my academy, I try to break them down in a sense, not like break them down, but say, hey, like, listen, play guard. There's a couple of guys come to my mind, Bobby, Adam. They're big guys, but the way they move, man, they have great technique. Really, really good technique. Mike is nodding his head. And the reason for that is because they realize that, you know, if you focus on strength, that'll take you only so far. And a lot of times you see that, especially also you see that in big guys. They can rely on strength up to about purple belt. And if they don't make that mental switch, they will never be super good at jiu-jitsu. Same thing with wrestlers. You have cerebral wrestlers and you have like the grinder wrestlers. The grinder wrestlers tend, unless they can make the mental switch, tend not to get good. They're good. They do really, really well up until purple belt. If they have not made the mental switch, that's where they don't peak out, but that progression, it becomes very, very slow. All right. So I try to make the big guys adopt. There's nothing worse than a big guy with a small guy's game. And then my small guys, clearly I mean, everybody that's smaller they have no choice. And to some extent, guys, I believe that stage of development might be easier for the smaller people who say, like, I got nothing. I only got technique. You got no choice. It's like, ah, shit. You know, he overpowered me. So it's harder for the big guys, for the strong guys, to make that mental switch, because they're used to it. They know they can do it. So it's almost mentally harder thing to adapt to. It looks like we have another question. I wanted to do one more arm lock. How much time we got?
Well, there's pretty much time.
Well, read me the question. Mounted. Yeah, go ahead. I can do two things at the same time sometimes. So guys, another sort of double arm lock is when you have somebody on and their arms, kind of become, strong and locked up. But, if I were to try to switch sides right now, that might be the time that he goes. So rather than choosing a side, I just go forward and I basically almost, at this point, it's going to be hard for him to move. I will bring one of the legs up. Now I can break. So this is kind of a weird scenario. It's not, I could finish somebody. It's possible that somebody good. So I can choose either one. Notice that I don't have it locked up. Most likely he's going to force me now to move. But so usually if we go live, he's not going to tap on this. So let's play it out once you get in that position. But he will move into the submission when his mobility is been limited to basically not knocking me off. And if he does knock me off, I'm taking his arm with me. All right? So again, if I got somebody, I will slide up, threaten both arms here. Now, I'm perfectly safe to bring up one of the legs, even if he comes up with me. No problem. This is done. So if you can do that to somebody mounted, where their arms come up to protect their face, or protect the neck, if they can get up here, guys, now you can slide up, you can pick up one of the legs. So even if he does manage to reverse you, his arms are already so tight locked up that when he actually gets on top, it's done. So another sort of example of a dual double arm lock, so to speak. It looks ugly, guys, but it's very effective, very, very controlling, too. Mike, we had another question.
Yes. Adolfo Ferrando is asking Fox, the ugly and double armbar occur primarily in closed versus open guard scenarios, correct?
Yes, usually we start out with closed, but I open my guard right away. Guys, again, we start out in closed, but I open my guard to make, because, to move him forward with my legs, with my hips, you got to open your guard at some point. So it usually starts out in closed guard, but moves into an open guard.
John Grappler is asking, do you use the double armbar to counter the can opener closed guard break as well?
Yes. The minute I see a guy reaching for my neck in my closed guard, I'm going for the double arm lock. And if you were serious about it, yeah, I'm going to make it a little faster than I normally would.
And last thing, Alonso Pierre says, Enrique, I think you're on Fox's list. And he says, even though I don't want it to stop, I wish you a speedy comeback to your school. What you did for us in this time is unbelievable. Much appreciated. Thanks, Fox, Enrique, and Mike.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I think we're still here for at least, I was going to say 5, 7, but 10 might be, yeah. Well, we'll see, guys. I'm hoping that we're going to hear some good news, if not this week, then next week, that we can sort of start to get back into normal. And then we'll figure out a way to stay in touch, guys. Probably not on a daily basis, though. Guys, like, share, subscribe, tag, friend, and all this other good stuff. Guys, subscribe. If Piotr is on, Piotr, I really appreciate what you said in your post yesterday. That was really, really nice, guys. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Guys, stay safe, stay well, and I hope we open soon. Be nice to others.